Hi everybody, and welcome back to Kevin's Upfront Opinion today. So today I thought I'd speak about what can lead you to want to cut your ties with friends or family. Now this is something I did,
Many years ago.
yeah, as my son said, a long time ago. I did it about 11 years ago, and the question is what led me to do it, and it was a fundamental thing. Okay, it was an event in my life that led me to it. Now, the start of the event was when I lost my girlfriend, the first woman I ever loved. Okay, and she probably knows who she is. Okay, and hopefully she doesn't pay attention to TikTok or YouTube or any of those types of platforms, so she don't know that I'm talking about her today.
Bananas.
Okay, which is Sophie, and I lost my daughter Amy.
Bananas.
Okay, which was at my own fault because of comments I personally made. And then after losing them both, okay, because of the comments I made, Sophie doesn't know that, she was the first person I ever loved. I don't even think I even told her I ever actually loved her, which was a categoric massive mistake, that I never said anything like that. But which was a categoric massive mistake on my part. But after I lost them both, I went on a spiral downhill over about a 5-year period, I would say, where I cheated on girlfriends after Sophie, who I never cheated on. Even cheated on my ex-wife in some respects, not physically, but I did. A lot of people would say that I did cheat on her. And I got with my existing wife, never cheated on her, but I carried on with my existing behaviours where I was doing drugs. Nobody in my family knew I was doing drugs at that, but I was earning good money, so I was able to pay for what I was doing. I was also drinking a lot, I was gambling, I was also messing about with quite a lot of different women. As my sister would say, she would call me a slag. Okay, not going to deny it. I was sleeping around quite a lot, and the main reason I was doing that at the time was I was trying to fill the hole because of what I'd lost at my own fault. I was trying to fill the hole, and it's a hole you can never fill. Now, this is something I've spoken to my existing wife about. About trying to fill a hole that you can't fill. And then I remember one day coming home and I was high as a kite on Class A drugs. And I realised I had to change. I had no option but to change. But for me to change, I had to change my habits and I had to cut myself off from everybody. So I cut myself off from my sister, my brother, pretty much my own mother and father, all my work friends, literally cut myself off from everybody. I isolated myself for probably a decade. The only friends I really had in that period, if I was brutally honest with myself, was my wife friends. I'd speak to a couple of my wife's friends, I'd speak to her family, go fishing with my miserable father-in-law. He used to be called miserable, he is miserable. Okay. And my kids, they were my friends. Because I knew I didn't want to go back to the person I wanted, but I was. I knew but I wanted to try and find my daughter and try and fix that relationship, which I haven't fixed, but I managed to find her after a decade. And I knew I didn't want to go back to the person that I was. Now I personally knew to fix myself I had to take 10 steps backwards to take one step forwards. And to fix myself took me a long time. So it took me a long time to actually fix myself. And I eventually ended up going backwards again, not by doing any of those things that I used to do, but in essence of personally having a breakdown anyway. Okay, so the reality is, was it worth cutting myself off from everybody with the hope of being able to fix things? From my point of view, it was. It was my only option, because it's like I've said to my wife, if I hadn't done it, I probably would have ended up dead. Pretty much a pretty well wanted person because of what I was getting up to before I met her. So, do I have any regrets? Which is a fundamental question. Now, by answering that question, my wife is probably either going to make me sleep in the kids' rooms tonight, or I'm going to be sleeping on the couch, or I'm going to be issued with divorce papers. Over the 15, 16 year period, the only regret I have is the way I treated my ex-girlfriend. And having never, ever been there for my daughter. And that haunts me every single day of my life. But I've never been there for her when I should have been there for her. And that I never changed 16 years ago when I should have. And it took another 5 years for me to change. And that's the only thing that does truly really haunt me. So I'm not going to natter on anymore. Obviously everybody has been watching, thanks for watching. If you are new to the channel, if you could please subscribe or follow, whatever, and like and share.